to deliver the occasional address.
Acting Chancellor, Professor Robin Batterham. This afternoon, we welcome as our guest speaker the founder and managing director of CMB Capital, Mr. Jamie Olsen. Jamie graduated from the University of Melbourne in 1997 with first-class honours in the Bachelor of Commerce. He majored in finance. He's built a career in investment banking and venture capital, focused on the technology, media and entertainment sectors. In 2010, Jamie established his own corporate advisory and investment firm, CMB Capital. His clients include corporations from Australia and abroad. He's raised over $150 million for early-stage businesses and built a portfolio of some 20 investments in start-up technology companies. Previously, Jamie held roles in investment banking at Macquarie Capital and Citigroup, as well as corporate development at Nine Entertainment Co. and CoreLogic. Showing his passion for fostering entrepreneurship amongst the next generation, he's launched a startup program at his former high school, Kepnock High School, State School in Bundaberg, where he grew up. Jamie's work is currently based in Brisbane and in Asia. It's a pleasure to call on him to speak today. Please welcome Mr. Jamie Olsen.
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellors, academic staff, ladies and gentlemen, and most of all today's graduates. 20 years ago, I was sitting in your seat. My chair was right over there. The university had arranged a distinguished speaker, a brilliant and highly respected person whose name I can't remember, just as you probably won't remember mine in 20 years. I can't remember much of what was said that day, but I do remember what wasn't said. There was nothing about machine learning or autonomous cars, nothing about Google or Facebook, nothing about iPads in the classroom or internet-connected fridges in our homes. And this was only 20 years ago. In that short amount of time, the forces that shape the world we live in have changed dramatically. This creates a great deal of fluidity, and where there's fluidity, there's opportunity for change, for growth. That being said, rapid change also brings a lot of uncertainty and risk. I've spent my entire career learning how to swim in these uncharted and unpredictable waters. In my line of work, being comfortable with the unknown is a prerequisite for the job. See, I work in venture capital. I'm an advisor and investor working with an increasingly long list of startups. I started my career, as you heard, with companies like PBL and Macquarie. And 7 years ago, I founded my own firm. My CMB clients and investments come primarily from the technology, media and entertainment sectors. And I've helped them close over $500 million worth of deals, at least 10 times that over my entire career. I've exited a few investments and achieved my dream of working because I love what I do, not because I have to. But there's still a long way to go, and there's a lot I have to achieve. And no small part of my success to date has been the education I received here at the University of Melbourne. 1997, and off I went into the exciting, fast-paced world of business, and soon discovered the genius I had displayed in the classroom worked even better in the real world. Hell, it was just a matter of time before my quick wits and natural charisma made me the next Warren Buffett or Richard Branson. Well, you can imagine my misery then when I spent my 30th birthday curled up on my parents' couch in the fetal position, wondering how I'd screwed things up so badly. It turned out being my own boss was harder than it looked, and that investing in something I didn't really understand was an incredibly bad idea. I'd taken a risk, and it hadn't paid off, and I had to foot the bill. I was forced to sell property, my bank account was empty, and because I had no job, I was forced to move back home. My confidence was shattered. I was certain my career was over before it had really begun. It was the first time in my life I truly tasted failure. But Neville and Nevis didn't raise a quitter, and before long, I clawed my way back into the game. My first business had cratered within 6 months, and I'd lost not just money, but borrowed money. This time, though, I was going to be smarter. I was going to be savvier. My first 2 MacBank bonuses went to paying back the financial backer of my first venture, and then I started building our share portfolio. Then I leveraged it. I was back. This time, it took 2 days to lose everything. Nothing levels you quite like seeing those ComSec sell orders flood your inbox. My carefully compiled share portfolio had been full of speculative, high-risk stocks. Half the companies I'd invested in didn't even survive the GFC. Greed had guided my decision-making, and once again, I'd invested in something I didn't really understand, nor did I have any influence over the eventual outcome. All I could see were those bright flashing dollar signs, the super yacht and the Byron Bay beach house. That's a mistake I've been careful to avoid since. And the reason is metis. Metis is an ancient Greek term that roughly translates as practical knowledge gained through first-hand experimentation and experience. Watch anyone who has mastered his or her craft, and you're watching the practice of metis. You know it when you see it. The subtle expertise conveyed by 1,000 tiny signs. Metis is the exuberant flourish of the violinist's bow, the delicate cut of the surgeon's scalpel, the perfectly timed rebuttal of the courtroom lawyer. Metis is the bookless wisdom that tells the farmer when to plant his crop, or the corporate executive on how to soothe the bruised ego. It's difficult to describe and almost impossible to quantify, which explains why most of us don't appreciate or understand it as well as we should. And that's a shame, because metis offers us the most sustainable path to lifelong success. Here's an example. Early in my career, my boss told me, "Jamie, time kills deals." I thought this was clever, if not the bleeding obvious. However, I had no idea what it looked like in practice. Early in my career, there was no way for me to know the hundreds of not immediately obvious ways in which time could kill deals. I'd never experienced most of those situations before. When I did get my chance, guess what? Time killed a bunch of my deals. It hurts even more when it's your bonus, your business, your time. But because I was curious about my failure, I could study it, learn from it. By developing metis, I hoped I could avoid those traps in the future. As I gained experience, a funny thing happened. I became more successful, and I began to pick the patterns which lead to success and failure. My metis acts as a compass, helping me navigate through my career and life. And even now, when I make mistakes, and I do frequently, my metis helps me fix them. Developing metis has also helped me understand what actually makes me feel fulfilled. I've learned it isn't just about making money or doing deals. I need to be doing something that helps people grow and develop. And today, everything I do is guided by this realization. It's liberating to have a sense of direction when what you do feels right. And because I have a sincere love for what I do, rarely does it feel like work, although it can be exhausting at times. I'm just the last person you'd invite on a beach holiday. The next stage of my life will involve arming the next generation with the skills and opportunities I have been so fortunate to enjoy. A few years ago, I founded a program at my former high school in Bundaberg to help students develop their entrepreneurial skills. I know I can play a part in building a culture at Kepnock that unearths the next Steve Jobs or the Bassett brothers. This year, one student launched Kepnock's version of Shark Tank. She's inspired her peers, and quite honestly, it's one of the most exciting things I've ever been a part of. She is outstanding, and I am so proud of her. Caitlin Anderson, remember the name. I'm grateful to the University of Melbourne for giving me the chance to speak to you today. This has been a privilege and one of the highlights of my career, and I'm grateful to everyone for listening. I hope each of you will take the magnificent education you've received at this fine institution and go out into the world and fail spectacularly and repeatedly, because what I know now and what you will learn is that your mistakes will not crush you. You will learn from the hard times and will build stronger foundations for the rest of your careers. We succeed not in spite of our mistakes, but because of them. Cheers to you, cheers to your future, and cheers to screwing up. This week, our Parliament showed what's possible when we all work together. As a boy growing up, never fitting in or believing I could be happy, I just want to say thank you, Australia.